Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good morning, Divas. Welcome to the Divas That Care show, and my name is Candace Gish, and I am the host of this program. I'm just so excited that each and every one of you has tuned in for today's program. We have an amazing woman coming on. She's a good friend of mine, and I can't wait to hear what she has to say to all of you guys, because she does have so much knowledge, so much wisdom, and you know what? It's going to be a pleasure to have her on today's program, and hopefully on some future ones, so that she can share some other stories with you. So let's get started. Oh, I should say, for any of you that are just tuned in for the very first time, if you go to our website, divasthatcare.com, what you'll do is that you'll find some amazing shows there. We have 10 amazing hosts that have their own programs, and they're all recorded for you to hear. And there's some pretty inspirational shows that are happening out there, and we want you to be a part of that. We want you to listen to them, and if you're interested in being a guest on our show, we would love to have you too. Our hashtag out there is DivasThatCare. So let's get started. You know what? I'm almost flustered because I have no idea what our new guest is going to be saying. We've had such a great relationship that I'm almost scared, to be honest. But I'm going to be welcoming her on right now. Her name is Holly Hallberg, and I'm just very excited because, oh my goodness, when you and I connected, it was just this amazing thing. You know, you realize that there's people in this world that you were supposed to meet. And Holly was one of those amazing women that I was supposed to meet. So welcome to my show today, Holly. I'm very excited to have you.
Thank you, sweetheart. And you're blowing me out of the water here. I'm looking around. Who is this woman she's talking about? I don't see her in the room.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Holly, could you spend a couple of minutes and introduce yourself to all of our listeners today?
Sure. I'm not sure what all you want me to say, but just a quick rundown of my background. I'm born and raised in Alberta, Canada. I am a farm girl. Grew up on the farm. I had two older brothers. My middle older brother, who was 5 years older than me, was born with a bone disease, so he was physically disabled. He still was able to walk and everything like that, but growing up, we had a lot of things going on that we could not do as a family, like, you know, skidooing, skiing, that sort of thing, because of my brother's disabilities. So that gave me a different perspective on life to begin with. I mean, we were always encouraged to, you know, develop our minds. You know, we were very physically active in spite of my brother's disabilities, you know, Scandinavian descent crossed with Ukrainian, which can make for a real stubborn streak, which those who know me well know it well. And then, so, I mean, I grew up on the farm, typical farm kid, working hard, got into horses. Horse was actually the first word that came out of my mouth, much to my mother's and father's dismay. You know, so in the horse industry, doing English work, that's English equestrian work, as well as Western and stuff. So I learned very quickly with 4-H and pony clubs, you know, you put your animals first. So all that discipline and stuff came into be. We grew up in a disciplined, but also in a relaxed atmosphere on the farm because of, you know, the disabilities that we had in the family. From there, I moved on into cross-country skiing and biathlon, which seemed like a natural fit for kind of an outdoorsy, athletic, hunting kind of family. My dad really enjoyed it, you know, working with me and such, because it was something from his childhood. From there, I managed to progress to become shortlisted for the Canadian Women's Olympic Biathlon team in 1988. I never went to the Olympics myself, but I was certainly, you know, in the contenders for the follow-up if anybody had gotten sick from our Olympic team and that. I ended up going from there into the Canadian Navy, so I was one of the first women on board destroyer in a wartime position. Which was an interesting thing within its own right, because at that time when this was the late 80s, when we were just breaking the crust and women were coming into those situations, we were not wanted there. And it was an interesting combination of working with the old sea dogs, as we called them, who believed, to be short and blunt, women should be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. So if you weren't willing to toe the line, work alongside them and do your best and have the backs of your fellow sailors, they didn't want you there. But in considering that it's a wartime scenario and, life could go south at any moment, you had to be. We had women that would say, where do I put my hairdryer and my makeup case, and when do we stop for the beach to go suntanning? And it's like, that's not what it's about, right? So growing up in a male majority family, I snuck in there and I fit right in and got into the groove. Plus, I can be a little crass and have a very dry sense of humor, and I'm kind of blunt if you know me. So I did my 3 years of basic. Yeah, you're chuckling now. I did my 3 years of basic. I had a medical release as I damaged and blew my knees out on board ship. So I got out of the military, went back home, did some soul searching, because the transition from a military lifestyle into a civilian lifestyle is very difficult, and I still have not completely adapted into a civilian lifestyle again, much to my family's dismay at sometimes. But then from there, I had met the father of my children. We were married for 20 years. I have a son who is going to be 25 in a few days, and a daughter who's 20. And I also have a year-and-a-half-old grandson as well. And I lived 20 years with their father. His mental health was undiagnosed. He was an undiagnosed bipolar, which also led to narcissism. So there was a lot of mental, emotional, and financial abuse after I finally had the balls to kind of step up and say, I'm done. I had to more or less emotionally and mentally save myself before I could get my children out of the relationship. So that transpired, and then from there, about a year later, at this time I was also a clinical registered aromatherapist as well as a registered massage therapist and certified equine massage therapist. So that's kind of where my holistic training come in to be. And then after I had moved out and our divorce was finalized, I met my common law husband now, who my 12-year-old daughter actually picked out of a lineup on Match.com, but that's a whole other story, which is quite entertaining in its own right. So now my husband Tracy and I, we live in the Rocky Mountain House area of Alberta, and we're 100% off-grid on our quarter section out here. So that's kind of, the background there. But I've also been a contributing author to Sacred Hearts Rising books. We had Sacred Hearts Rising, and then now we have Sacred Hearts Rising 2, Finding Your Wings. And it's been an international bestseller on Amazon.com in the #1 position for 3 days in a row. And I'm proud to announce we just recently had our summit here a couple weekends ago. And I am one of I think we have about 7 women that are now the leadership of change. So we will be heading chapters within our own areas and abroad in order to host meetings and such, as well as speaking events and being your connection to help you get your story into Sacred Hearts Rising books, as well as promoting people to be able to express and share and heal their stories of not just things like abuse or that, but, even from, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, grief, you name it. And it's multi-gender. So we have people who are transsexuals, we have gays, we have men, we have everything. So anybody who's been through a trauma or a challenge in their life, this is a movement that we're working on, much like your Diva movement, of empowering people to, step up to the plate and speak and all of that. So I'm very excited to be a part of that family and to be, helping our head people, Brenda Hammond, which some of you may know already, spearhead that movement as well. So that's kind of a quick little rundown of who I am and what I kind of do.
Well, I love it, and you've got such a dynamic journey. Everybody's probably like, she did what, and it keeps going. And you're a multifaceted woman that has lived an extraordinary life, a very diverse life. And when you and I had the opportunity to chat and stuff, I was in awe of you. I was listening to your story and how you were talking. I'm like, Wow. And there are so many dimensions of you, and it's amazing because as you know, the Divas That Care, that's what it's all about, is sharing these extraordinary stories of women that have these lives that we can't even imagine. And you've definitely had one, and you're so inspiring. These books that you're a part of, they are definitely, I would consider they're all about change and inspiration out there. And I love Brenda. I think the woman is amazing, and for her to have you a part of this, and now doing these, you were calling them chapters out there, and I think that would be great. How have you started doing these? Is this something that our listeners can be a part of, and they connect with you on it?
Yes, we're just getting things rocking and rolling. We'll be hosting, our individual leaders will be hosting our events. We're spearheading for looking kind of September, October to get things kicked off with our meetings. We're still just kind of covering some logistics and some training so that we have a unified front. So that, if you're here in Alberta or BC or even in the States somewhere, and say if you attended one locally, you could go across the nation or across the country or to a different province or state, and that the scenario or the format would be the same, as what you've seen in Alberta. It'll be the same in Ontario or the same in Mexico or the same in, New York or whatever the case. So each leader will have their own little, excuse me, unique twist to their how they do, because we're all individuals with our own little flair.
Yeah.
But the basis is going to be the same. So it's
I love that.
I hate to say it's kind of a franchise, but in a way that's the simplest term to put it. But we have the liberty to put our own signature on that, right?
Yes. Well, and I know that Brenda would have put into place some fantastic individuals to spearhead that. So I think it's great. And I think that when you have this all organized, all of your venues are set up, we'd love to share them with our tribe and all of our listeners here, because I think that, because our listenership is all over, we will, some of these amazing women would probably want to go to these events that you guys are hosting. And I know that they'll be top notch.
Yes, yeah, we're very excited about it. We're very fortunate to have even Joe Dibley working with us. So, that's exciting in its own right to have, to be able to be working that closely with her, having all the work and phenomenal things that she's done, with her movement and such too. So.
Oh, excellent. Well, I can't wait, and I can't wait to share that with everybody out there. You know that we always post all of our stuff on our social media, so we'll keep you guys all up to date on what is happening with this. So, Holly, this isn't the only thing that you're doing. You actually went back to school recently, and I want to talk about that because, we listened to your journey, and you're doing all these things, but you also decided, hey, why not go back to school? Tell our listeners a little bit about that.
Well, I didn't think my life was exciting enough, I guess. They say to really get out of your, to grow as a person, you have to really get out of your comfort zone. Well, I really stuck my neck out this time. I have a friend who runs an oil field medic company, and her and I were chit-chatting, and I said, I'm feeling kind of lost. I'm feeling kind of stagnant, and we were talking, and she says, well, why don't you go get your EMR, or Emergency Medical Rescuer, which is your basic paramedic entry level, and I'll put you to work. So I said yes, and I just completed my provincial licensing exams over this past weekend. So now I'm kind of in the 1 to 4 week waiting period where when I find out if I've passed everything or not. There's 3 stages. We have a written, we have a scenario exam, as well as a skills exam. So, it's nerve-wracking. Like I was saying to you before we came online, I had said to one of my examiners, doing, the practical scenario exams for the paramedic levels was far more nerve-wracking for me than sitting in a wartime exercise that we did in the military. Sure, we made decisions whether a ship was going to be blown up by the push of a button, but dealing with individual lives is a whole different aspect. I have experience with my past training and such in doing it, but just kind of, not having been under the the microfying or the glass for so long, and then to step up to the plate like that again. I don't know if it's because I'm getting old or what, but yeah, it's exciting. I'm glad the exams are done, and now we just wait and see what transpires with that, and it opens up so many new doors.
Oh my goodness. You are amazing. And you're still doing all of your other stuff. She's not giving up anything else, ladies. She still is doing her aromatherapy. She's still doing mentorship programs. She's still developing online courses. And she's also helping out with all the stuff with Brenda. I'm like, oh my goodness, where are you going to find the time? And one of the questions on our show is that when women are busy, how do they find time for themselves? And I know you're also doing you're doing your homesteading too. So how do you find time for Holly?
Holly time is when I'm on the farm here. This is my sanctuary. We have 160 acres that we're basically carving out of the woods. We're right on the edge of the Rocky Mountains. So, every day is a beautiful camping holiday. And I know not everybody is into, the rustic off-grid camping kind of thing. But, we have some beautiful scenery. And, we have our livestock, and spring is here. We've had our sheep lambing, we've had our goats kidding. And my favorite time of year has always been spring. I raised sport horses for 20 years, and having that new life coming in with foals and all of that, and the spring and that, and buds, and you get what I'm talking about. But just being on the land, just even going out to do chores is my grounding. And that's where I find it really helps me. If I have to spend a weekend in Edmonton or Calgary, or even when we went to Portland, I don't want to say it's difficult for me to be in crowds, but because I've been on the farm once again now for so long, I do hate to leave home. But, that's one of those things that when you come home, you really appreciate, home again.
Yes.
And being home in the wildlife in the wilderness, is very grounding for me. And, what I've learned over the years in being a busy entrepreneur, or just being a mom or anything, is you have to schedule things. Now, I'm not saying I'm the world's greatest scheduler, but, and my husband's kind of grinning at me here, but, yeah, now I'm getting the look. But it is. You really have to schedule those things in for you. I'm in the middle of kind of a transition right now, so I'm being kind of lackadaisical in a bit of a sense. But I also know that once things get busy again, it's getting back to programming in your workouts. This is, supper time. This is, and as unspontaneous as scheduling sounds, it is really freeing, and then you don't feel overwhelmed. And
Yes.
I know a lot of people, not just women, but as an active mother yourself, and I know that you're homeschooling your girls, if you don't have it scheduled in, your life goes in absolute chaos.
That is very true. That is very true. And I love that. And Holly, I know that one of the things that really connected you and I together, you do this thing, and it's going to be new to some of our listeners, so I wanted to share it. Can you talk about the Heart Center, this thing that you're doing? And there's something about it that just connects with me that I just wanted you to spend a few minutes sharing a little bit about that.
Okay. Just before you and I had met, I had been in Toronto on a 5-day retreat, and what it was a bunch of like-minded spiritual healers, because I do some what people would call hoodoo voodoo stuff as well. And it was a heart-centered retreat. So what it was, and I find that it's ties beautifully in with the Sacred Hearts movement as well as all the other work that I do. But what it is learning to love not just yourself, which is key with any kind of healing, but to be able to love people wholly. So, I mean, you have your partner whom you are in love with, and you have that special kind of relationship. You have your children whom you love, and you have that special kind of relationship. And then you have your love of your siblings, of your parents, of your cousins, of your best friends, and that. But it goes beyond that, where you learn to love anybody who crosses your path. Now, granted, there's people out there that really, grade and get under our skin and such, but it is what we really come to realize with that is, what is it that is grating on our nerves or getting under our skin or pissing us off, or however you want to put it, about these individuals who cross our path, that, it's a reflection of something within ourselves. So digging really deep and being able to say, I universally love, and I go there and I can have that same feeling of love that I have for my children, my husband, my wife, my whatever, to a stranger on the street, to be able to say, I love them. And I love as much as I love them. Like I joke and I say, my boyfriend is a gay man, and I love him as much as I love my husband. But there is no, it's not the same context as I have in the relationship with my husband, obviously. But to be able to share that kind of love and expansion for, another human being or another soul or that kind of thing. So it really gets, you really have to dig deep with it. And it's really quite interesting when you get these walls that kind of pop up and you go, oh, and understanding that it is, it is one of the I say universe all the time, but, if you want to use God or Allah or whatever context you want to put it in, but that universal love to feel towards others, and then, realizing the challenges that they bring forward are things for you to work through. And I mean, here's a good one. My late ex-husband, he was, with his upbringing and narcissism and mental health and bipolar and anxiety and stuff like that, our marriage wasn't all completely bad. The last, 10 years of it, 15 years of it was pretty interesting, to say the least. But to be able, after all that, like he often said to me, and he was, major depressive. He ended up taking his life. It'll be 2 years ago this coming Christmas. And he often said to me, he says, after all that I've done to you and the children, how can you possibly, forgive me? How can you possibly feel this love towards me, because I don't deserve it? And I would say to him, I said, if I'm not going to forgive you, it's like drinking poison myself and expecting you to die. So I have to be able to forgive you. I have to be able to mostly forgive myself for, everything that went on. Because in spite of the fact of it being an abusive situation, I gave away my power. And I mean, sure, if it might have worked out if I hadn't have given away my power. It might not have worked out if I hadn't have given away my power. It's a double-edged sword, but, it's in the past. I can't change it. It is what it is. That journey or path was laid out for me to become who I currently am today. And, I love who I am in spite of the ugliness that has been in the past. I'm very happy with me. The journey I've had has been pretty interesting when you look back on it, which I think you'll agree. And, where I'm at right now, sure, I still have trials and tribulations and things that, just make us struggle and scratch our heads and go, excuse my language, but what the fuck? But I'm okay with me. I'm good with me. I love me, and truly learning to love ourselves and then expanding that beyond. And I mean, when we look at the society and world that we're in today, and I'm almost 50, and the insanity that I've seen even in the last 10, 15 years as a world, and anybody who was born in the 70s or 60s or even 80s can testament to the changes that we've seen. It's like, where the heck is, what's going on? But the thing is if we are able to truly tap into that universal love, a lot of the crap that we see going on wouldn't be happening, right? So it's, yeah, you can get into really philosophical with it, which this show I know is not long enough for that. So
no, but you know what? I really love that, and I think it's important to share that because our world needs more love, and that has always been my philosophy is giving back and the kindness, and I really believe in that domino effect when you're out there and you're trying to do the best that you can do and be the best person you can be. People see that and they want to be that. And when the way that you approached me and you said that you love people and you explained that, I thought, what a beautiful thing. Because it's not a lot of people are listening right now, it's not in their comfort zone. They're probably like, oh my goodness, what is she talking about? And it kind of probably hit them really hard because how do you love somebody and how do you do that? But you're loving them as an individual because everybody is unique. Everybody has their quirks, there is good and there is bad in all of us. But to accept that and to love each other for who we are is such a gift. And if somebody can do that, I think I love that you are sharing that with all of us. I love that you are an ambassador for that because I think that there needs to be more people like that and having that love for everyone out there.
And it starts at home. It starts with yourself. And I mean, the work that I do in my business with my mentorship and things like that, when I'm working with my clients and, the workshops and things that I teach, that's where it comes from. Whether you're working on yourself to grow yourself or whether you're working on your business to grow your business, it's all heart-centered. If you come from that heart-centered space versus entrepreneurial, money-centered space, and I mean, we can all attest, if we get money hungry and start pursuing that almighty dollar, we're as miserable as all get out because it's just work, 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 work. But if we're truly following our passion and with a heart-centered in our business blossoms and grows and flourishes, and we see that in our own individual lives too. And I mean,
we do.
I've seen a lot of ugly stuff personally. My family has a lot of mental health, like with my children. I mean, I have a daughter that I live with every day, not knowing if I'm going to get the phone call, that she took her life because her mental health is that, fragile for her from day to day. So, it's living from that forgiveness. It's living from knowing that you did your best and really loving yourself. And I mean, I have a friend that gave me a saying, and it's learning to go, how do we put that? It's what you're going through, learning to get to, basically looking where you're going rather than muddling and looking at what you're going through. So, keeping your eye on the ball or keeping your eye on that light at the end of the tunnel. And I mean, if you're walking through hell, keep on going. Don't stop and smell the roses. And you know what? I've got jackets for that club, and I know the shortcuts. So just give me a shout, and we can do it together, right?
I love it. Well, Holly, I've had such a great time. I do hope that you come back on our show and share some more of your wisdom with all of our listeners because you have so much that you can offer the Divas, and we love you, and we want to welcome you to our Diva family.
Thank you very much, Candace, and I would love to come back in the future. Once I got my tickets down pat and my licensing, we can chat about that some more, and I'll let you know how that story ended up. But yeah, I will certainly keep you in touch, with our Sacred Hearts chapters and such, and when we're all up and start hosting our events and things like that as well. It'd be great to talk to you some more.
I would love that. Thank you so much. And I want to take a moment to thank all of our listeners. It's because of you that we've continued to do the Divas That Care now for 9 years. And we're going strong, and we continue to find these amazing, amazing women out there, and we want to share their stories with all of you. So make sure that you tune in and you keep tuning in to all of our shows so that you can support them. Thank you again, Holly. It was such a pleasure. I will be posting all of your social media information on ours. and so that they can get a hold of your book and get a hold of you. So again, thank you so much to you. Thank you to all of our listeners, and I hope that everybody has a fantastic day and that you do something kind for somebody out there today. Take care, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye for now.